the stand. Now he runs. He produces a magic trick. He pulls out another one. This is incredible. This is ridiculous. This is 15 out of 10 on the incredible meter. What a player. What an entertainer. Give him the medal. Give him the Dally M medal.
Hello, footy fans, and welcome back to the Chip and Chase podcast, ready to rip and tear into a rapid review. We say rapid, but knowing me, that will not be the case. But we're going to try and get stuck into everything that was in round 18 of the NRL season and do it in a pretty quick fashion. Obviously, this one being recorded and uploaded on Tuesday, just a little bit, I don't want to say out of date, but we've missed the sweet spot of when everybody's, thinking about last week. Come Tuesday, it's sort of a mix between thinking about round 18 and thinking ahead to round 19. So we don't want to spend too much time on this. Thankfully, only the 5 games, of course, because it was a origin/bye week. So let's get stuck into the first game of the round. The Bulldogs going down to the Broncos 18-22. This one's an interesting one, and there's a lot being said about the Bulldogs in this one. Now, there's a lot being said that, the last couple of weeks it's been talked about. Since Galvin's been brought to the club, they're now, I think, 2-2 since Galvin's been in the lineup, whether it's starting or off the bench. And I think people are just going pretty easy on just going, well, it's Galvin's fault. They were, 10-2 or something without him, and now they're 2-2 with him. But it's like, they're not negative with him. It's just a net even. And some of these games, like this one, for instance, they lost the game, but they also only let in all their points in the last 20 minutes of the game, the last quarter of the game. They were up 18-0 until the 60th minute when Josiah Karapani scored, and then they went in the 65th, the 70th, and the 73rd. The Broncos just went on a run there. I don't think it's something that you necessarily just blame Galvin for. Sure, if you're going to pay him the big bucks and you want him to be a halfback in the side, I know he's playing 5'8" in this one. Matt Burton was the man moved out to the centres and Toby Sexton remained at halfback. But by all reports with, Sexton leaving the club, Galvin is their 7, which I don't like. I don't think he has the skill set for it. Now, he's a hugely talented player, and I'm sure he can develop that skill set, but I think his natural game is a 5'8". If you want him to be a halfback and you're paying him the big bucks, and in fairness, I know he signed for quote-unquote unders at the Bulldogs compared to what he was offered at the Tigers and the Eels, and I'm sure there were some other clubs involved. But halfback, regardless, is a team that's meant to lead you, or is the position that is meant to lead your team to victories. And when the going gets tough, when momentum starts going against you, they need to be the one to step up, give direction, pull the boys in order, and say, this is what we're doing. Now, in this game, what I will say about Lachie Galvin is, I think he was a bit too sporadic. He didn't have that composure to get them out of this game. That's why when the Broncos got that momentum and they went on this run, it wasn't able to be turned. And I'm not saying that's all Galvin's fault. As I said, the entire team goes into defending these plays, but it is his job to group the boys together and say, this is our direction, let's kick the corners, let's force an error, or however you do it as a halfback, this is how we're going to get ourselves out of this little rut. And so I'm not blaming this loss on Galvin. I'm not blaming the Panthers' loss last week, which, are there 2 losses since he's been at the club? They've won 2 with him. They've lost 2 with him as well. I'm not blaming either of those losses on Galvin, but I am blaming it on just the decision to recruit him in general. I think it's a really easy and, in my opinion, not unfair narrative to just heap it on Galvin because he's the star player kept being brought to the club and they started losing games. But it's like he's not directly causing the losses. Maybe his implementation into the team, that is, but that then goes on the higher ups for the Bulldogs in general. That's on your Feel Good. That's on your Cameron Serrato and everyone sort of else. Because as we sort of said the last couple of weeks, it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. The last couple of weeks, they've had to inject him because if they go on to lose the game with a strike weapon on the bench, it's your fault as the coach. But if you bring him on and you don't win the game, it's your fault as the coach for bringing him on. It's like, it's a tough situation. I did find it really interesting in this one that, if their long-term plan is Galvin at halfback and Matt Burton seemingly in the 6, why did they move Matty Burton out to centre? Surely you'd try and test that, especially if, The goal was we're getting Galvin now because he can be that person that gives us the premiership. And it's like, okay, we'll make that call now. Toby Sexton's been fantastic, in my opinion. I think like he's the halfback who was leading the comp for most of the year. And you've made that call for whatever reason. You cut your ties with Sexton, you put him into a bench role, or you drop him out of the side. I don't think it's fair. I think he's playing better football than Burton and Galvin, and some of the best football in the entire Bulldogs team. But if you brought Galvin to the club because you think he's the man that can win you a premiership, and you didn't believe Sexton was, because otherwise you would have re-signed him surely, then make that call now. The fact that you're keeping Galvin at 5'8", where seemingly he's your halfback, and Sexton, who's not going to be there next year, is at halfback, and Burton, who's seemingly your 5'8", is now at centre. It all just doesn't make sense. Now, with all that being said, it's not a terrible loss for the Bulldogs. It's not good, don't get me wrong. But again, for 3/4 of this game, they had a handy lead. They hadn't leaked a point, and they were up 18-0. And they lose this game by 4 points in the end. I think even if they hang on, even if the Broncos come on this run at the end, but they score one less try and the Bulldogs hang on to this one, I think not much, if anything, is being said about Lockie Galvin and about this whole situation. But it is just concerning. The fact that now they've also, it's not just the fact that they let in 4 tries in the second half or in that last quarter. They also didn't score a try in the second half. All of their points came in the first half, and they got a penalty goal in the second half, but all of their tries came in the first half and they never scored in the second. So that's the worry I have with the Bulldogs. If you are to be a top side, where's that going? You can't put the Q in the rack at this point of the season against a team as dangerous as the Broncos. And it's not like the Broncos are a bottom feeder side at the moment. Sorry, that's a bit of a harsh terminology, but the Broncos are fifth on the ladder, and they're coming into a good vein of form. They beat the Warriors in a really good win last week, and another good win the week before that. You can't just put the Q in the rack against this side with the attacking weapons that they've got. So there are concerns with the Bulldogs, and if I'm being honest, I didn't see them as a premiership threat before the Galvin signing. I think they'd be a threat, but I didn't really see them as being able to do it. And yeah, the Galvin signing has just put the nail in the coffin for me. I think in the next couple of years, it can be a good signing, but I said it from when it happened. It didn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. You just went, I feel like it was just a very rushed decision. You could have just left him at the Tigers for the year. He was still contracted, and just signed him for next year. Sure, I understand wanting to get him in the building and get him under your structures and whatnot, learning, but give him the rest of the year in reserve grade and trust in the group that you had that had got you to first place. I just don't think it's the direction that the club needs to be going, and I think it's, created unrest amongst the playing group. Players like Toby Sexton and Reid Marnie, who in fairness are playing in really, really good footy at the moment, but now they're just departing the club. Players like Connor Tracy, he's playing another elevated brand of footy. So it's got enough out of those guys, but the structures and everything else, there's obviously something wrong there. I think it's just essentially killing the Bulldogs season. They're definitely still going to be a top 8 side, probably a top 4 side with the lead that they had on the competition early, but it could very well be a straight. If they make top 4, I think they lose in straight sets, and if they don't make top 4, I think they lose in the first round of finals and they're out. Is it a successful year? If that's the case, potentially. If you're judging on where they were last season to what you expected of them this season, probably. But now you can't. You have to take away the entire season's context, and then you're saying, well, it's not a successful year because we were the competition leaders for the most of the season, and then we fucked it. So yeah, I don't want to keep talking about the Lockie Galvin thing. It's hard not to, because it's newsworthy and it's going to be that center of attention for the next couple of weeks, probably for the rest of the season, because it's such a huge thing that happened in our season. We can't just shy away from it. I'm a little bit sick of talking about it because every podcast talking about it, every media outlet is talking about it. And as I said, I'm not blaming Lockie Galvin as the player, as the person. I don't think it's his fault that this has happened. I think it's the Bulldogs' direction as a club, which I still think they're going in a good direction from what we've seen. They've built such a good pathway system, and they were bottom, wooden spooners a few years ago, and here they are now. I just don't think it's the direction that they needed to go. And I think, it's just hampering their season quite a lot right now. They're still good in there. Obviously, as I said, they kept the Broncos to nil for 60 minutes of this game. And as I said, one less try from the Broncos, probably nothing's being said. I haven't had them as premiership threats. I've said that as well. So maybe I'm not judging them as harsh as others. That's probably because I've judged them harsher than others earlier this season. Regardless, yeah, it's an interesting sort of dynamic for the Bulldogs. As for the Broncos, before we get interested in our players, really good win from them. Now, you can make same parallels that I just made with the Bulldogs. The Broncos were kept scoreless for 60 minutes of an 80-minute game. That's a worry. But they ended up getting in a roll. They got to their rhythm. They kept attacking the game, and they went bang, 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 and won the game against the team leading the ladder, against like the best defensive team in the competition. So can you really be too negative on a team that didn't die out of the game like when everything was against them? They just stuck to what they know, and they came back and found a way to score all these points. I don't think so. I think the fact that you can stay in the contest for 60 minutes knowing that you're 3 tries away and every minute that passes is less likely of you winning this game, but you've got that faith and that confidence in your team and in your ability to go on that run. And they did that. So I take a lot away from it from the Broncos, considering for a lot of years they've just been the flamboyant, flashy team, score all these tries, see you later. Now wouldn't maybe not consistently, but now we're seeing that they can just do this. They can hang on, they can hang in and get contest, and then when they notice fatigue or they notice a defensive structure or they notice something, they can attack with the attack that we know that they've had. So it's a really good win for the Broncos. As I said, they're firmly in 5th place now. I think they're still 2 wins behind the Warriors because the Warriors just had their bye, I believe. I'll quickly check the ladder for that one. So 4 points away from the Warriors, but actually they've only 1 win behind them and they've had 1 less bye. So essentially they're 1 win behind the Warriors with a better for and against. So heading into the next couple of weeks is going to be interesting to see where they can get to. For a team that we've been pretty harsh on, sort of everyone's been saying they've been pretty inconsistent all year. The fact that they can almost be top 4 like that is pretty damning. And, if they can keep building games like this and like they have in the last couple of weeks, then we know that this team could be a threat come finals time. So I think it's a really, really good win for the Broncos. Probably could talk on them more, but as I said, the noteworthy stuff is probably with the Bulldogs. But yeah, great win for the Broncos. Let's start with, while we're here on them, let's start with their top performing players. Look, a lot's been said about Selwyn Cobbo, and in that first half, I thought he was terrible. I thought just the optics of bringing him back into the side and whatnot were a bit interesting in the first place, with how lazy he had been and how underwhelming he was at fullback for someone who wants to play fullback and got his shot and didn't do anything with it. Then signs with the Dolphins. Like, it was interesting that he was brought back into the side to play fullback. Like, I know, I can't remember his name, Jesse Arthurs, who I think was actually ruled out of this game anyway, so it probably doesn't make a difference. But no, he was underwhelming at fullback. I still would have named him there, and then maybe when he was ruled out or dropped, I actually don't know what happened to Jesse Arthurs, but when that happened, maybe then you bring Cobbo in. Regardless, the first half I thought Cobbo was really, really poor. The Bulldogs were finding so much space in behind him, and his positioning at the back was really, really terrible. And just like they'd put grubbers in and he'd just sort of jog across. He didn't have that intensity to get there, and that's what you need. You're trying to show, hey, I'm a fullback. I want to get paid fullback money and I can break the game open as in this position. Well, then go and show that. Show your effort areas in defense and whatnot. And he didn't do that. I think in the second half, he was far, far better. He just looked more dangerous, more threatening. But yeah, sort of an indifferent game. It's definitely a position that I cannot really see him staying in long term. I just don't think he has the traits for it at the moment. He's still very young. I think people forget how young Selwyn Cobbo is. I actually just look up his age. He's 23, only just turned 23 in June as well. So he's got so much ahead of him. I don't want him to be a has-been or like the biggest what-if in the game, because he's got so much ability that we've seen before, and he can turn into a fullback. But at the moment, I don't think that's his position. He's going across to the Dolphins, assuming that won't be his position. Like, I don't see a world where you move Hammer from fullback. But he can just get into a system there, which maybe a fresh change of scenery is the best for him, and hopefully he can build from there. But yeah, indifferent game from Selwyn. Josiah Karapani, again, really good. He's just been, since they brought him into the side, it just shows the sort of difference. And this isn't necessarily trying to shit on Selwyn, but the energy that they've needed. Like Selwyn, he's got ability coming out the wazoo, and he can do things that a lot of players can't. But sometimes you just need the jack in the box, running as much as you can, flying down the wing. Just, you need what Josiah Karapani's brought. And when they made that call and they brought him in, especially when last year I thought Josiah Karapani was pretty underwhelming, to see him come into the side this year, and he's just, every single game he's been playing an 8 or 9 out of 10. I think he's been fantastic. And essentially he can nail down that position. Maybe not long term, but I reckon for the rest of the year, heading into next year and maybe the next couple of years, he's got that energy that they need. He's got that speed. He's got a nuggety little frame that he can make solid meters. And he's always had a lot of talent since he was back off the Rabbitohs and had a few things go wrong there. But yeah, I thought he was really, really good in this game, and he has been since he's been brought into the season. Josiah Karapani. Because Tony Staggs, I like just the fact that he had a lot more touches in this one. 17 runs, 166 meters is just more like, it's just what you need. You want him around that 15 runs a game, in my opinion. To get up to 17 is a bonus. We just can't be having him with 10 runs or sub 10 runs. So I like that. Ezra Mann made our team of the week. If you guys saw that over on the Instagram page, he was sort of the man that just orchestrated their comeback. Just 3 line break assists, 3 try assists. He's been really good this season. Obviously, you know, all the stuff's happened, and we're not going to get into that. We've said our piece with that, and where we think, or what the NRL should have done with the Ezra Mann situation. But they made their call. He served his time for the punishment that the NRL decided, which, agree with or not, that's happened. We move on. Am I okay with fans booing him? Sure. I don't think there's anything wrong with necessarily booing in any sports. It's not something I tend to do. But it's a part of sport, and you have to learn to live with that. I think Ezra is well aware that he's going to cop that. But the thing is, like him or not, he's playing really, really good footy since he's come back into this side. He's playing, obviously, to a high enough standard that when Ben Hunt comes back into this side, I don't see a world where he gets that 5/8 jersey. I assume it's going to be a 9 or off the bench for Ben Hunt. And what a headache that is to have someone like Ben Hunt, Origin player, Australian player, coming off the bench or starting at 9 when his best position's halfback. So yeah, that's just a testament to how good Ezra Mann has been. With everything being said and all the pressure and all the booing, it hasn't stopped him from playing really, really good footy. So I thought Ezra Mann was really, really good. For me, though, the best player on the park in this one was Xavier Willison. So the big front rower ended up playing 68 minutes. This is Payne Haas level stats. 20 runs, 203 meters, 4 tackle breaks, 43 tackles, and 3 missed. That is in 1 offload. Payne Haas-esque. It is unbelievable that they can just have someone like him just shoot up and play a game like this. Now, last week he was incredible. He's had really good games essentially in and out this year. He'll go one really good one pretty average one. But the last few, he's just shooting into stardom. And the fact that he can pull this off, there's one thing to be able to bring, I think last week he ran for 180 meters off the bench in 30 minutes. But to run 200 meters, play 68 in his huge frame, his huge body. And, pump out 43 tackles as well. It's an incredible, incredible performance from Xavier Willison. Obviously made our team of the week. It's terrifying knowing that this Broncos side with Payne Haas, Pat Carrigan, Xavier Willison, Corey Jensen does his job every week. I thought Kobe Hetherington obviously got the start back at lock in this one and played 60 minutes. I thought he was really good. I liked his leg speed, and we know how good he is in defense. They've got so much. They've actually got such a good team, and they've had that since the start of the season, but now it's all sort of being put together, and we're getting to see a lot of the the Broncos here. So, yeah, I'm really excited about them. Also, Brendan Piakura, he started the week obviously terribly and didn't make the side and whatnot. He's always had ability, and these last few weeks, he's just growing into that. I've said on numerous occasions that the line he runs is right up there with the best in the competition. In this game and just the last few weeks, he's just gotten better and better and better. I thought he was really, really good in this game. Brendan Piakura scoring a try as well as 112 metres. So shout out him. And the last man I want to mention, Ben Tolte getting his NRL debut off the bench. He's someone we talked about in the preseason. He's a front rower. He was at the North Sydney Bears. He has been in New South Wales Cup. I think he was a Newcastle Knights junior before that. This is a while ago now. I'm pretty sure he's 26, 27, around that age. He's been biding his time and working hard for a long, long time. He's a really, really good player. And then the Broncos finally brought him over into this system. I think it was a train and trial. Then they upgraded him. And here he is now making his NRL debut. And just such a deserved debut. I thought he was really good in this game, and he's worked so hard in reserve grade that he's really deserved it as well. So shout out Ben Tolte. As for the Bulldogs, let's go over to them. Con Tracy, I thought, again, was really good. Didn't necessarily, I think the Broncos did a really good job of sort of just wrapping him up. He didn't get much space on any of his kick returns. Even when he was taking his one-out hit-ups, they were just wrapping him up and driving him back, which a lot of the time he's poking his nose through. But he still found ways to impact the game. He ran for 111, had a line break assist, had a try assist, 3 tackle breaks, whatnot. I thought he was solid. Anari Tuala, thought he was really good on his Bulldogs debut, to be honest. Like, just lots and lots of runs. Of course, the Bulldogs, with that whole late shift and Burton out to centre and whatnot, it meant Blake Wilson was the man to make way in this side, and Nari Tuala ended up playing on the wing despite being named at centre. 21 runs, 179 metres from Nari Tuala, just getting through the tough stuff, didn't miss any tackles. I thought that was really good in his Bulldogs debut. Matt Burton, obviously we've mentioned how I don't like how the Bulldogs moved him out to centre, but I thought he was really good there. A lot of people think it's his best position. I still think 5'8" is, but I can't deny that he's a great centre as well. 16 runs, 140 metres from Matty Burton there. Really, really good out there. 17 tackles, 3 misses as well. Scored himself a nice little try as well. Just, if they were to move him to centre, I can see it working, but obviously they've let Toby Sexton go now, so it's pretty obvious that Burton and Lockie Galvin will be the halves. It's just, I don't know, make what you will of it. It's whatever, in my opinion. Beyond that, Harry Hayes, I thought, was really good. For me, we've obviously talked about the Bulldogs and all their utility players. Harry Hayes isn't necessarily a utility player, but he was a bloody winger centre like 2-3 years ago. And here he is playing front row and running 16 times 123 metres in the front row, 27 tackles. Did miss 8, which is a little bit, not the best, but I think it's another player that I think his best position probably these days is second row. I think he runs a really hard line, but the fact that you can throw him to front row in a game like this and he can have a performance like that is just, really, really good from Harry Hayes, and just he's such a bonus to their footy side. Beyond that, probably not much to talk about. I thought Jack Todd, he only got 5 minutes in this one. I would have liked to see Jack Todd a little bit more. He's a bloody good footballer. They've had a lot of faith in him. I just thought it was really interesting that Jake Turpin ended up, with all the late changes, Jake Turpin ended up starting the game at lock forward, and their bench was Josh Curran, Curtis Morin, Jack Todd, and Bailey Hayward. Every single one of those players is a better lock forward than Jake Turpin. I thought it was such a weird coaching decision to start a hooker at lock forward when you have 4 lock forwards on the bench. Just really bizarre in my opinion, especially when you consider Jake Turpin's not going to be at the club for a long time, like much longer, I assume. Jack Todd is essentially a very big part of their future from everything I've heard. And why wouldn't he be? He's a great player. Even if it's not Todd, why isn't it Josh Curran? Why isn't it Curtis Morin? Why isn't it Bailey Hayward, who you named there? It's just such a really weird coaching decision. I think the Bulldogs have been plagued by really weird coaching decisions for the last few weeks. So, those are just my concerns with the club. Anyway, we've spent a long time on this game. Let's move over to the next game, the Raiders and the Dargans. The Raiders winning this one 28-24. I think the scoreline not necessarily flatters the Dragons. I think they, what I liked about them was they kept turning up. They kept throwing shit at the wall and hoping it would stick, and it did. There were a lot of tries scored that, you know, when something wasn't working, when the game plan wasn't working, the Dragons tried something else. Like the Tyrell Sloan try, that's a perfect example of that, where they're just like, okay, we're getting pinned in our own end. None of our attacking structures are working. Let's do a chip over the top to one of the fastest players in the field and let him run the length. And like, I love seeing that. I love that they're not just, we need to stick to our game plan. It's hard to do that against the Raiders, especially with all the injuries that the Dragons have had. I thought they can take a lot of positives away from this performance. Like, as I said, with all the injuries, with their ill discipline as well, I don't know what the completion rate was, but I can't imagine it was great. Let's see if I can find out about that. 67% completion rate. As I said, they made a lot of errors. I thought, for them to come within 4 points of the ladder leaders was really good. And I just like that they did it in a variety of ways. I think you can take a lot of positives away from it. As I said, it wasn't a great performance. If you look at that completion rate stat, it's not good, but sometimes you just need to take those risks against these sort of sides and try and break them open in different ways. And I just really, really like that. I love that they just kept coming at them, throwing shit at the wall. They attacked from everywhere on the field, a variety of different ways. As I said, not a great performance, but there's a lot of positives to take away for the Dragons, in my opinion. For the Raiders, it's another win. Are they going to be disappointed that they leaked 24 to the Dragons? Probably, but it's not that they were poor. Like, their defense was so good and it was so suffocating that it caused the Dragons to play really strangely and throw shapes at them and throw attacking, plays at them that they weren't ready for. And I feel like most sides probably concede the points, concede the tries to the Dragon that the Raiders did in this one. Sometimes those things happen. In the end, they got the win again. They're firmly at the top of the ladder, and I think they're playing really good footy. So, as I said, I don't think this scoreline necessarily flatters the Dragons because I think they earned their points, but the Raiders were really good in this one, so I'm not going to take too many negatives away from it. Now, in terms of standout players, there's one man in this that you need to talk about, and that is KO Weeks. He has gone from, a fringe first grader to much watch TV in just the space of like half a season. He's a genuine game breaker. He's a genuine superstar now, KO Weeks. And I love that the narrative has sort of gone from, can the Raiders win a premiership with KO Weeks at fullback, to can the Raiders afford to be without him in a premiership? Can they win a premiership without KO Weeks? It's crazy what a season or half a season can do for him. In the early parts of the season, he'd have one really good game. You're like, okay, this is that ability that we know of. And then one really quiet game. And it was sort of masked a bit by the fact that the Raiders were winning, so you didn't have to say too much. But far out, these last few weeks, he has been untouchable. In this game, he was freakish. 19 runs, 346 meters, 2 line breaks, 4 line break assists, 1 try assist, 9 tackle breaks, and 3 tries. I cannot believe where he's at in his development now. As I said, for a while there, we were saying, he's a good player. I don't think the Raiders can win a premiership with him at fullback. And now it's genuinely he can be the person that wins you a premiership. The tries he scored in this one, the plays he was making, he can come out with those. And that can be the biggest difference in a grand final, because you can't defend what he was doing in this one. So it's just crazy, the narrative, how it shifted on him. I'm guilty of being one of those people that was like, I'm not sure they could do it. But I've got to, tip my hat to KO Weeks. He's been unbelievable, just getting better and better and better week on week throughout the season. And now we're at a point where these last few weeks, he's not just been involved in games, but he's impacting games, and he's been the best player on the park in multiple games. Made our team of the week last week on the bench, this week he's our starting fullback and far out. I assume he's going to feature in that a few more times before the end of the season. So, yeah, all these concerns or the only worries that you had or that I had in the Raiders, like KO Weeks and whatnot, they're just being put to bed. They should still get Tamale back before finals, which is going to be another big in. I think Jed Stewart's filled in admirably, but he hasn't been incredible there. I think he's just holding that spot until Tamale gets back, and then Tamale will be ripping and ready to go, and he's just a great player. So, yeah, I just far out. Besides KO, I didn't really have any worries about this side, and here we are. So now they've got to be the favourites from the competition. Just, yeah, they're a scary, scary side. In terms of other standout players, I thought Matt Timoko did a really good job up against Corey Allen. Poor Corey Allen, he gave him a bit of a bath there. 21 runs, 237 metres from Matt Timoko, 2 line breaks, 7 tackle breaks in there. It was just really good game plan from the Raiders to isolate Corey Allen. I don't really hold it against him. He's not necessarily a centre. I don't think he has that blistering acceleration to be able to stop these sort of players. And Matt Timoko, he's a strike centre when he wants to be. So really good just from the Raiders to identify that and go at him all night. And then, yeah, when you've got a player like Timoko, you can just make that sort of stuff happen. I thought he was great. Sebastian Chris, Davies Savage, I thought they were really good. Good to see Savage scoring a meat pie. He hasn't scored one in a few weeks, so grabbing one there, just using his speed. Ethan Strange, we've mentioned him a lot this season, but fuck, he's a good player. He's so strong. His footwork's incredible. He beats first contact every time. Just, yeah, I thought he was really, really good out there, Ethan Strange. And their forward pack, once again, like Joseph Tarpey in this game, 29 minutes, and they won this game. I don't think there was an injury concern there. I think it was just, let's not work our best player to death. And that's without Josh Papali'i in this game. They were without him to Origin. They're still without players like Matty Nicholson, and they could afford to go, righto, Joseph, we're going to sit you for a bit. We're not going to work you to death. And the players who stepped up into that role just, you know, they were great. Corey Horsburgh in 55 minutes had 14 runs, 164 metres, 1 offload, 35 tackles, 0 missed. Zach Hosking and Simi Sasangi worked very hard in the second row. 12 runs and 134 metres from Simi Sasangi, 13 runs, 135 from Zach Hosking. Morgan Smithies, I thought, was incredible at lock forward, playing big minutes. 67 minutes from Morgan Smithies. 13 runs, 104 metres, 1 try in there, getting his first try in the NRL. And we know how good he is defensively. I thought his link man role was really good. And then off the bench, like Trey Mooney, who's obviously the heir apparent to Josh Papali'i when he departs the club. 36 minutes from him, he was great. Also playing a bit of a link man role there, so I don't know if he's going to be the 13 or the prop when Papali'i goes, but regardless, I thought he was good. Maniota was good. Noah, Paddy, like we've mentioned that Raiders bench a million times. They've got such good depth at the side, and they can win the premiership. I'm loving watching this team play. They're much watched television right now, so yeah, big shout out to the Canberra Raiders. As for the Dragons stand-up players, obviously, yeah, we said it's not a terrible performance from them. You know, considering everything going against them in this one, I thought there was a lot of good players in there. Clint Gutherson did his usual business and just tried his absolute dick off. I thought Sione Finau, it wasn't his NRL debut, I don't think, but he was incredible in the trials, scoring like 5 or 6 tries in 2 or 3 games or whatever it was there. 20 runs in this game, 217 metres from him, 1 line break, 5 tackle breaks. Really good to see him just get through that sort of work. Corey Allen, for all his struggles in defence, he also got through a ton of work, 18 runs, 164 metres. And Tyrell Sloan, who made our team of the week with 2 tries, 13 runs, 167 metres, 2 line breaks, and 1 try assist from Tyrell Sloan as well. So their back 5, they just, as I said, they came up with different ways to attack. And they had to because of how many injuries they had and against one of the better defensive teams in the comp. And that meant these outside backs who typically haven't been fantastic this year, like Sloan and Corey Allen, haven't been great, but they find ways to just use them to the best of their ability, and I just really liked that from the Dragons. I thought Tyrell Sloan was really, really good. Easily his best game this year, in my opinion. I don't know what they're doing with him. I've been told he's free to negotiate and find a deal elsewhere. If he ends up just staying at the club, he's definitely not bad to have as a backup fullback and backup winger or starting winger if he can put these performances together consistently. As I said, thought he was great. In their forward pack as well, I thought they stood up, considering everything going against them. I thought David Clemmer was really good in his time on the field. In his 250th, I think this game might have been, 12 runs, 109 metres from him. Did get sin binned at the end, but it wouldn't be a David Clemmer game without it. So Jaden Sewer, I thought he was really good, especially considering he's playing a little bit hampered at the moment as well. He scored a try, 17 runs, 148 metres and 28 tackles. Jack DeBellin, he had his moments in this one, had a few, I wouldn't just call them errors, but just, not his best moments. But again, you just can't. I love how Jack DeBellin plays his footy. 13 runs, 128 metres from Jack, and a gazillion tackles, I'm sure, that I can't find on the stat sheet. 33 tackles, 1 missed. I thought he was really good. Michael Molo played 80 minutes at second row. I didn't even realise that. 12 runs, 115 metres, and his first game in a year or something. So, yeah, just with all their injury concerns, the players that they called on to get into this game and get them through it, I thought they all just did an admirable job. I don't take negatives away from this game, to be honest, with everything around their context of their injuries and who they're up against and how the scoreline ended up. I know it wasn't a great game, but it's the best game that they could have played considering the circumstances, in my opinion. So shout out the Dragons. Let's move into the Cowboys and the Melbourne Storm. This one might be a little bit quicker than the others because there's probably not much to talk about here that hasn't already been said about both these sides. The Storm winning this one 26-20 without their origin stars. So I guess that there's some more context there than, previous weeks. For instance, I tipped the Cowboys in this one. I thought, without these Storm's origin stars, the Cowboys could get it done. Of course, Cowboys without their own origin stars, no Tom Dearden. Murray Taulagi, I think, was ruled out of this one before the game. Ruben Cotter, Reece Robson, those sort of players were all out. But I liked the matchups that the Cowboys had against the Storm, their outside backs, with Joe Chan, for instance, playing in the centres and whatnot. But in the end, the Storm got it done again. And I don't want to say it was a one-person show because the Storm, they were really good across the board for again, the context of who was in their side. But fucking Nick Meaney was unbelievable. He had an absolute cracking performance. He wasn't meant to be their fullback. He was originally named at centre, but ended up playing fullback with Ryan Pappenhausen being out. That was the other thing. Pappy got ruled out the day before this game, and it's surely the Cowboys can win this now. No, Nick Meaney goes back into fullback, which is still his best position. I think people forget that he was always a fullback coming through the grades. When he was at the Knights as a young fullback, he was, one of the most highly touted players. And, a couple of years ago when he filled in for Ryan Pappenhausen, he was probably the Storm's best player that year. So he's always been his best at fullback. In saying that, I didn't think he could do this. 22 runs, 255 metres, 3 tackle breaks, 2 tries, 5 from 5 conversions. He was unbelievable. Everywhere on the field, there was Nick Meaney. Defensively, his positioning, he was just so good. And he'd not only save attacking raids, the Cowboys would put a grubber kick through and he'd clean up. It wasn't just clean up. He'd take that, get out of an in goal, make 20, 30 metres up the field and start a Storm attacking raid and put them on the front foot. He was able to just save all these tries with his positioning and then just turn it into attacking field position for the Storm. I thought he was incredible. And then when they got close to the line, he was involved in those plays. As I said, scoring 2 tries, running great holes, chiming into the line whenever he needed to. It was his best game I've ever seen him play in first grade, to be honest. He's had some corkers in there, but he was unfathomable. I didn't think he had this performance in him in first grade because it's been a few years now. I loved him as a junior, and I still really like him as a footy player, Nick Meaney, but he'd never really shown us this. But to do this within the context of the game with Pappy laid out to step into that role, he's their third choice fullback these days. Obviously, Sua Falongo, normally their second now. yeah, he stepped up in a huge, huge way. So shout out Nick Meaney. I thought he was incredible. We're not even meant to be talking about the standout players, but I just had to talk about Nick Meaney because he was the star of the show for the Storm. I think he was the difference in it. On the other side of the field, I thought Scott Drinkwater, again, always is the Cowboys. Like, he is their point scoring. I thought the fullback duel was incredible between the two of Drinkwater and Meaney. 23 runs from Scotty Drinkwater, 206 metres, 2 line break assists, 2 try assists, 4 tackle breaks, 1 try, and 3 from 3 conversions from Scotty Drinkwater. So it was just these two going at it, and it was just such a good contest to watch. As I said, I tipped the Cowboys, so I went down on this one, but it was a really entertaining game to watch. It wasn't the highest, quality footy, but there was enough there to just be really entertained by it. So really enjoyed this game. In terms of the questions it raises about these sides, not too much. As I said, the Storm showed their next man up mentality, that even with their origin outs and their injuries, they can get a job done against a Cowboys team with still a lot of good players in here. Well, the Cowboys, I don't know what there is to say about them that hasn't already been said. I think they played a solid performance against one of the top organizations in the NRL. Was it the Storm's best team on paper? No, but it's still a more Melbourne Storm team, and I think the Cowboys, they tried their hardest. I don't really know what else to sort of say about the Cowboys. This has sort of been their identity all season. Do I think they make the 8? I still probably think that they do. I think they have a pretty tough run home, but I just back the quality of this side and how they've been playing the last couple of weeks with Jake Clifford back in the halves, that they can do it. This is a game that they probably really wanted to win. They needed it in the context of their season, and they didn't get it. But I think, again, that's more so the Storm being the Melbourne Storm than it is the Cowboys being a basket case of a side. So, just a good game of footy. Let's stay on the Storm for their standout players, since we're just talking about Nick Meaney, and then we'll go back to the Cowboys there. Joe Chan in the centres and whatnot. He got bathed a few times. Jackson Purdue just left him for dead. And in fairness, Jackson Purdue would probably do that to anyone. He's lightning quick. But I thought Joe Chan, for the rest of the game, because the Cowboys kept attacking him, and as they should, that should have been their game plan all game. I thought he came up with some great efforts in defence. He ended the game with 18 tackles and only 1 missed from centre. This is a back rower playing centre. Had 13 runs, 111 metres. I thought he had some really, really good moments in defence, Joe Chan, so I wanted to give him a big shout out. Grant Anderson obviously ended up playing in the centres, was named on the wing. 22 runs, 203 metres, 1 line break, 2 tackle breaks. He's been one of their best players all season. Even with Will Warbrick coming back, I assume they'll put him back in the side because, fair enough, Grant Anderson's not going to be there next year, but far out, he's been incredible since he's been in the side. You just every single week it's gotten to that stage where he's doing not necessarily Brian To'o numbers, but Brian To'o doesn't get mentioned anymore when you talk about the Panthers because 220 metres from Brian To'o, that's the usual. Grant Anderson is now in that level where 200 metres, a try, all these line breaks, tackle breaks, all this crap. And you're like, yep, that's a Grant Anderson game. And it's Grant Anderson we're talking about. With the utmost respect to Grant Anderson, he has been a reserve grader, a fringy for a fair few years. And now we're talking about him as if he just consistently comes up with big games in the NRL. So, that he deserves his flowers, Grant Anderson. Thought he was terrific again in this one. Jerome Hughes and Tyron Wisher, I thought they were a really good foil for each other in the halves. Jerome Hughes didn't score any tries or whatnot, but he kept creating stuff. Eli Katoa and Sean Bloor, the second rowers, both made my team of the week. I thought Sean Bloor had probably his best game of the season. 16 runs, 144 metres from him, 2 line break assists, 1 try assist, 1 tackle break, 35 tackles. Meanwhile, Eli Katoa again scoring a try, 17 runs, 152 metres from him, and 5 tackle breaks. This Storm side, we obviously talk a lot about the Raiders and I think they're premiership favourites. I still can't get over this Storm side. When you look at these names and what they're getting out of their players at this part of the season now, they're a scary good side. Bronson Garlick filling in at hooker was terrific. 9 runs, 80 metres, 2 line break assists, 1 try assist, 1 tackle break. 35 tackles. I thought he was really good. If I was the Melbourne Storm, I'd be giving him another week there. When Harry Grant comes back from Origin, not at all for my Supercoach team, which, sure, might be a little bit of bias in there. I'd like to keep Garlic for another week in Supercoach, but with all the injuries that Harry's sort of been dealing with, the niggling stuff this year, give him a week off backing up from Origin. You're still very much set in that top 4. Give him that week off and let Bronson have another good game like this and help my Supercoach side. Their front rowers I thought were good. Josh King played big minutes. Tuikama Kamitha, 12 runs, 129 minutes in his time on the field. Josh King, 13 runs, 120 metres and 44 tackles. Nas was named at 13 but came off the bench, scored a try with his big bustling body. Alec McDonald was good. And I won't lie, I didn't know this player until he was brought in with the Pappenhausen laid out. But Sialangi Tuamalatu Brown, probably butchered that, but he made his debut on the wing in this one. I believe he's like the 8th Victorian player to play for the Melbourne Storm, which is always good to finally see those those pathway systems in Victoria leading to players like this. And I thought he was really good in debut. 16 runs, 135 metres, the winger. Just really solid debut, and shout out to him. The other man I wanted to mention right at the end here is Jonah Pezzett. He was named on the bench in this one, and he came onto the field and with his first touch of the ball, just set up a try, essentially. I think he didn't actually get the try assist. I think he hit a beautiful ball to Blore, and Blore or something offloaded to probably Nick Meaney again. I actually can't remember. But it's just really good to see Jonah Pezzett with all the injuries back in the NRL and then just fitting into their systems instantly, came onto the field, was linking up with, Hughes linking up with him and then him linking up with back rollers. It was just, really good sight to see. So shout out to Jonah Pezzett. For the Cowboys, we've mentioned Scott Drinkwater and how good he was. I thought Robert Derby was really solid in this one as well. He's had a lot of games this year where he can be excellent or he can be pretty bloody poor. Thought he was really good in this one. Robert Derby, 23 runs, 199 metres, 5 tackle breaks, and a try. Jackson Purdue, we mentioned his speed. We had them in the bet this week, of course, on the page. If you don't follow the Instagram page, go and check that out. And, if you are of age and a betting person, maybe follow along with the bets, because we got a good one in this one where we had Jackson Purdue or Zach Labert to score a try. Of course, Purdue scoring the try there. And we combined that into the Roosters game. Mark Nwonga Nituase and Daniel Tupou to combine for 3 tries, which is exactly what they got. So that got us a good little return there. But I just liked the Purdue back at centre. You guys, in the early parts of the season, if you listen to the podcast, you would have heard how much I raved about Jackson Purdue. I think he's a bloody good player. And at the moment, I still think centre is his best position in the NRL. I still think he'll be a half moving forward. I'd love to see him as a fullback moving forward. But for now, leave him in the centres. He's still so young. I think he's 19 or 20. Let him bide his time, and you get a little bit of space. And with the speed that he has, he can just burn you. It's a speed that you don't necessarily get to use fully in the halves, but the slightest bit of space at centre, with his speed, he can make stuff happen. So 17 runs, 166 metres, 1 line break assist and a try from Purdue. Clifford, I thought, was really good again in the halves. I think he's just been not their best half, obviously Dearden has been, but that combo when Dearden's in there is clearly their best. 13 runs, 107 metres from Clifford, 1 line break assist, 1 try assist, and, huge off the boot. Tom Duffy, I thought, was really good as well. Obviously only had his couple games at the start of the season and was unfairly dropped, in fairness. I say unfairly. I think it was unfairly at the time. Their season has been better since, and I don't think that's necessarily Tom Duffy's fault, but, it was a decision that I didn't agree with, but it's good to see him get back into the side here and just have really good touches. I thought he was solid. In terms of their forward pack, Griffin Neame, I thought he was really, really good. Played 58 minutes at front rower, 9 runs only, but 117 metres. And what I loved about Griffin Neame was when they're chasing points to the back end, he was enormous. He was making 15 to 20 metre runs every single run when they were chasing points. And that's what you want. If he can swing your momentum in your front row, and that's what they've needed. Jordan McLean's been a really good servant of the club, but he hasn't been a line bender or momentum builder. He just gets through his work and he does what he's asked to do. Griffin Neame, this is a play that they've been needing to get out of. And I think he's been great off the bench all season. And for the last couple of seasons, I'm a huge Griffin Neame guy. But yeah, when they're chasing points and he's played big minutes, he's bustling and making huge runs. And yeah, getting his team momentum. I thought he was great. I also thought Thomas McKaylee off the bench was fantastic. He made our team of the week off the bench. He should be in their side every week. 15 runs, 149 metres in 38 minutes from McKaylee. Caden Lars as well, only 13 minutes, but 3 runs, 48 metres. He's someone who, I don't know, like Jordan McLean does his job. 7 runs, 86 metres in 46 minutes. In 13 minutes, Caden Lars had over half his metres. I just think maybe it's time that Jordan McLean he's not going to be at the club the next year. I know it's not like a whole rebuilding year, but like you're getting better production out of Cohen Hess, out of McKaylee, out of Neame, and out of Caden Lars. And that's without Cotter in the side. That's without Jason Tamalolo in the side. That's with Sam McIntyre only playing 22 minutes before he came off injured, who I think's been solid for them this year. And I'm a big McIntyre fan. I think just blood these guys. Just let them run. Like, start Griffin Neame every week if you have to. Bring McIntyre at starting and Tamalolo back. I don't know. Just, you can't be letting Caden Lars. I know he's 19. He's got a big future ahead. It might not be this year, but he's so good in the games he's playing. So yeah, I thought their bench was really good. 126 metres from 12 runs from Cohen Hess as well. So shout out all of them, and Braden Burns was solid. Let's move into the next game. This game, as I said, a rapid review has gone for 50 minutes already, and I've got 2 games to go. The Roosters and the Tigers. The Tigers getting an upset victory here, winning the game 30-28. And it was looking a bit ropey there. They got to a big start in this one. They led into halftime, and then the Roosters went on a bit of a late charge. 55th minute tried to Savala, 74th minute tried to Nwang and Itawase, and a 79th minute with about 18 seconds to go, junk time, tried to James Tedesco, which killed me didn't kill me in Supercoach, but was a little bit annoying in Supercoach. But I love that, just the fact that the Tigers hung on. I don't care how they got this victory. They got the victory. For most of the game, they were the better side. The Roosters looked a little bit flat. The Tigers were playing with a really good shape. I loved Adam Dewey and Latu Fainu in the halves. And I loved the Tigers' enthusiasm. Even when the Roosters got into their rhythm and they got in a row and the Tigers were doing a tough time to hold them, which in fairness, that's probably what I expect from these two sides. Like, if the Roosters played how they did in the final 20 minutes or so for the entire game, I think they win this game, and I think they put a decent score on. But the Tigers, they made the most of unsettling the Roosters, and they made the most of, while the Roosters were unsettled, we are going to score as many tries as we can. So when you find your groove, we're just going to hang on for dear life. And essentially they did that. And it's not an effective way to win, games and win premierships, but it's enough to win games and show the fight in this side and show that they have that knowledge of a game plan and a knowledge of the opponents and a belief in themselves. So it's just a really good win for the Tigers. It's an upset they needed. A lot of pressure has been on them. They hadn't won a game since round 9 or something. So to get this sort of monkey off the back with a win like this is just really good for the game. I don't support either of these sides, but I'm happy that the Tigers won. I'm here for an upset, and I was so sick of the narratives being written about the Tigers, so it's just good to see a win here, and hopefully we can silence those critics for a little while longer there. Was it an amazing performance? No, but the Tigers didn't really have any reason to win this. Like, I thought the Roosters would roll them. This was a Tigers side without Jareem Buller, their number 1 fullback. They're without, technically, Lachlan Galvin, their number 1 5'8". They're without Jerome Luai, their number 1 halfback. They're without Api Coruscant, their number 1 hooker. So they're without their top 4 halves, their spine. They're without their first choice spine. Then they lose Heath Mason, their second choice fullback as well. Sunir Taruva starts at fullback. Like, their side didn't have the right to win this game, and they just did it. And I'm so happy for it. I love that all 3 Fainu brothers scored a try in this one. Latu, Samuela, and Sione. They mentioned in the press conference, I think they asked Latu Fainu if that had ever happened, and apparently throughout all of their grades, it never happened. In fairness, I think Latu said that he had never actually played with, I think it was Sione Fainu before because of the age difference. So this is like the first time he's ever got to play with all of his brothers. Not all of them. They're missing. I can't remember his name, but what's his face? But yeah, this was just. Yeah, a great game from the Tigers. I love the fact that the Fainu brothers scored tries. They're the future of this club. And I love that in that post-game interview, they sort of, they asked Latu, is this halfback jersey the one that you want long-term? And Latu's response was, I don't mind where I play. I just love playing for this jersey and this club. We did this for our coach. And fucking hell, that must give Tigers fans so much hope. And, to hear a player like that, a player who's been so highly touted through the grades, everyone wanted him. He was stuck behind Galvin, this boom rookie. And with all the Galvin stuff and how that played out, doesn't want to be here despite being given everything. Who cares? That narrative's been said a million times. What's beautiful is that then you get to blood this guy, and it's the complete opposite. It's, I don't care where I play. This is someone who's been given, maybe not given the world, but anyone wants this kid. He's such a talented footballer. He's got the world at his feet in terms of the footballing world, and he's saying, I don't care where I play. I just want to be in this Tigers team. I want to put that Tigers jersey on my back and represent this club. And that is unbelievable because any side would sign him for good money and let him lead their club. And he's like, I don't care if I'm a halfback, despite the fact he's one of the best halves we've seen in a long time, best junior halves. I don't care if I'm a halfback. I don't care if I'm a 5'8". I don't care if I'm a hooker. I don't care if I'm a front rower. I want to be playing for the West Tigers, and I'm just going to do this club proud. We did this for our coach. That is everything you want in your club and in your young players. So this is what I'm saying about the Fainu brothers are the future of the West Tigers club. I hope they lock them all down. If we can get players like them, Terrell May obviously leading the club. They've signed Talon May, who with all his outside stuff, I assume Terrell May sort of pulls his head in a bit. And the Tigers wouldn't have made that signing without believing that this is the club and this is the culture that can get the best out of Talon and just get all the life stuff and all that sort of stuff outside of the footy field, get that all settled and focus on the game and get a good life out of him because he's a bloody good football player as well. So the Tigers are just turning into a club. They're showing a culture that's just awesome. Like they've got the Lali'i brothers, they've got the Fainu brothers, they've got some of the May brothers obviously missing. What's his name? The one over it's another T May. There's Terrell May, Talon May, and Tyrone May, something like that. But yeah, I love this side, and I love that the Tigers got this win. So just really good stuff from the West Tigers. Over to the Roosters. It's a disappointing loss. Like they were ambushed here, and fair enough. As I said, they didn't come out to play for the first X amount of time. Like essentially the first half, they were pretty poor until the final few minutes of that first half. They were ambushed. And then I don't know if it was a cockiness thing. I don't know if it's like we're going to roll them. But the Tigers, they use that narrative. Whether or not the Roosters believed in that, the Tigers believed that was the narrative being pushed. Oh, we're going to get rolled by these guys. Let's show up. And they did that. The Roosters, they were not great, but in the end, they scored more tries than the Tigers by the end of this game. Adam Dewey had 3 penalty goals that kept the Tigers ahead. So, there's still positives in their attack. I still think they're a top 8 side, which is so weird. As I said the last couple of weeks, it's crazy that we were saying this team could win a spoon early in the season because they've got so much quality. But yeah, definitely not the best performance from the Roosters. I do think it's just a blip on the radar. You can probably go in and find heaps of negatives for it, which sure, I'm not going to do it though. For me personally, the vibe I get from this game, it was the Tigers ambush, the Roosters weren't ready for it, or maybe they were cocky or they weren't ready for it. But then when they found their grooves and they were like, shit, we're taking a bit of back and they were stunned for a bit there, the Tigers put that score on. The Roosters did find their rhythm and they did score enough tries to win this game. It didn't happen, but there's enough there that I'm not going to be too negative on them. In terms of standout players for the Sydney Roosters, There's a few names that I've mentioning each and every week. James Tedesco, I know he's got that try in the last 18 seconds, so it makes the stats look a little bit better. But regardless, 23 runs, 232 meters, two line break assists, 2 line breaks, 6 tackle breaks. He was doing James Tedesco things. Mark Nwonganitawase every single week. I say it. I don't have anything more to say about him, and then he finds another thing to do. 15 runs, 120 meters, 2 line breaks, 14 tackle breaks from Nwonganitawase, and 2 tries. That try he scored where he just skittled defenders. He had no right to score that try. Just ran through like 4 or 5 defenders, and like normally he's just got that. He's got a big fend and he's got the footwork, but the fact that he was fending, stepping, running clean over the top of blokes with his physicality. Just, yeah, he's a freak, but we've said that a lot of times this year. Tommy Rodwell, I thought was really good on, I don't know if it was debut. I feel like it was debut, but maybe not. But 24 runs, 218 meters for the Roosters, 2 line breaks, 1 try assist. Hugo Savala, really solid again. Nafahu White was probably the best player in the park. Like, it's one thing to go up against Terrell May, is another thing to rise to his level and have better stats. And the narrative is like, this is Terrell May against his former side, against the Sydney Roosters. He would have wanted to have a huge performance, and he did. Let's go over to Terrell May's stats while we're here. 70 meters from Terrell May, 22 runs, 204 meters, 3 tackle breaks, 4 offloads, 38 tackles. They're unbelievable stats that only he has been able to produce this year. And then Nafahu White, the man that they've gone, righto, we're going to let Terrell May go. With all these other, with Jared Warrior-Hargreaves leaving and, oh my God, there's another front row that I'm forgetting. They lost heaps of forwards, didn't they? Oh, I'm having a mind blank. Regardless, with the departures from the club and then letting Terrell, Spencer Lenny is there. I don't know. I'm losing my mind. But yeah, to let Terrell May walk and say, Nafahu, we believe you can be our best front rower. And then Nafahu White goes for 73 minutes, so more minutes than Terrell May. 22 runs for 250 meters, more meters than Terrell May. 113 post-contact meters, 5 tackle breaks, 45 tackles, 1 miss. It is unbelievable. I didn't think he had that in him. We've seen him be amazing all season. He's been spectacular. Nafahu White, but a 73-minute, 250-meter game, 45 tackles is something I thought was well and truly beyond him. He was unbelievable, to be honest. I thought he was so good. In fairness, when you look at you think the Roosters are going to roll, and when you look at the rest of their forward pack, maybe that was a bit haphazard. Like, Makahisi Makatoa started this one at front row. Egan Butcher and Celesi Fiketti, the second rowers, and Blake Steep, the lock. Now, all of those players are solid players. The Butcher, Fiketti, Steep, still young and a lot of ability in those guys. But, like, yeah, maybe it was a bit... And then their bench, Zach Docker-Clay, Max McCarthy, I think it was his debut as well, McCarthy, Taylor Salu, and Delasale Va'a. I feel like he changed his name. Is that Junior Va'a? I can't remember. So, yeah, maybe we were a bit haphazard thing the Roosters would roll them. But, yeah, it was just solid performance from the Tigers and not a terrible one from the Roosters, in my opinion. Over for the Tigers, I thought their entire sort of backline was really good. Jarrell Skelton, 190 metres from 19 runs, just doing his thing. Sania Taruva, he had a tough first half, in my opinion. Was it the first half? Yeah, I think it was a tough first half, but second half I thought he was really good. 18 runs, 168 metres. Charlie Staines has been really, really consistent for him, scoring another try in this one, 18 runs, 169 metres. And, yeah, like the backline just did really well. I loved the go forward that they had. Terrell May, we already mentioned, his stats was incredible. Funua Pole doing his thing, 14 runs, 168 metres from Pole. Alex Twal ran for 105. Sione Fainu off the bench ran for 103 from 9 runs and scored a try. Like, I loved the energy that they had in this game. I loved the way Adam Dewey and Latu Fainu combined in the halves. Dewey, for me, his best position is clearly 5'8", that always has been. Now, he's not the 5'8" in this side, and he probably shouldn't be with Latu and Jerome Luai there. But the fact he can come into that position and have games like this whenever he wants is just amazing for the club. 10 runs, 95 metres, 1 line break assist, 1 try assist. Just awesome stuff. 14 points in conversions, 100% conversion rate. Latu Fainu, like we just mentioned his press conference and how much you got to love hearing that at the club, but just, fuck, he's incredible. He is such a good footy player. That was always the thing with the whole, I'm sure the club never wanted to lose Galvin. Galvin will be a superstar regardless of everything I said about the Bulldogs. I think Galvin will be an absolute freak of our future. But Latu Fainu has always been like one of the most highly touted youngsters we've had in a long time coming through the grades. And Galvin leaves and you can bring him up into the grade and he does this. 11 runs, 142 metres, 1 line break, 1 try, 2 tackle breaks, and 17 tackles. Like, that's without even mentioning his kicking game, which I thought was really good. Adam Dewey did like the majority of the kicks, but I remember Latu's his short kicking game was really good. I just think he's a bloody good player, whether he's the halfback or the 5'8". For me, seeing how he's played at halfback these last couple of weeks, I'd be more than happy to leave him there, let him run the side and let Jerome Luai do the 5'8" role, which to me is still his best position. And that's the thing as well. While I haven't seen Latu's long kicking game in a while. I don't know if it's spectacular. Dewey can always chime in as a centre kicking as well. Like, you don't have to have both of your halves if you like doing your main kicking. If you want to just bring Dewey in from centre on a 5th tackle, have him sit behind the play and do a big boot, do that. Like, it's the same way the Bulldogs and New South Wales have used Matt Burton. The Panthers used Matt Burton in the centres. If you've got a boot, use it. So I'm not worried about the lack of long kicking game with Latu and Jerome Luai, because you can have the Adam Dewey. And that's not even saying that they don't have a long kicking game. It's just something I haven't seen in a while from Latu. But yeah, I thought he was unbelievable. And he's going to be the future of their club. And I'm so excited for the future of the West Tigers. Probably not many other players I can talk about. Obviously, I mentioned all of those, the Fainu brothers and whatnot. Not Samuel are also having a really good game as well. But yeah, just a great performance from the Tigers and very happy they got that win. The final game, the Seagulls and the Rabbitohs, we will be quicker on this one because, again, there's not much to say about these sides that hasn't already been said. Seagulls winning this one 30-12, and I thought it was a really, really good game from them, to be fair. The Rabbitohs, hard to be too negative on them with all the injuries and whatnot and players like Latrell Mitchell out in Origin. The Seagulls, they're essentially untouched. The fact that now they've got... Actually, they are essentially... besides players like Paseka and whatnot, who they've been missing all season, so they can't really use that as an excuse. They've got Tom Trbojevic, playing footy. They've got Dalla Cherry Evans in the side after Origin. And they put in as good a performance as you can get from them, to be honest. Could have been a few more. Ruben Garrick missed a few conversions, but they piled the points on. They attacked left and right. They played deep. They showed their attack exactly what we know from the team, and I thought they were really, really good. It was against a Rabbitohs side with, so many key outs. Tallis Duncan was playing centre. Alex Johnston at fullback. Like, they've got so many injuries, the Rabbitohs, that I can't be negative on them, and I can't say too much against the Rabbitohs. But you can't really be negative against the Seagulls either, because you can only play what's in front of you. It's not like they let... If they let in heaps of tries to the Rabbitohs, you go, shit, they've let in so much to a team that's so under strength. But they only let in 3. One of them was in the 76th minute. They let in 12 points, guys. I can't be negative to the Seagulls here. Their attack was humming. As I said, I love the way that they attacked both sides of the field. Ruben Garrick is back to his best position on the wing, in my opinion. Turbo roaming at centre was incredible. I think... by the looks of it, that should be his position for the rest of the year. I still think he's a fullback moving forward, but the way that they're using him at the moment is fantastic. 13 runs, 105 metres, 2 line breaks, and 2 tries from Tom Trbojevic. Garrick, 23 runs, 138 metres, 2 line breaks, 2 tries, 3 tackle breaks. Jason Saab, he left the field early, but he had that... just blitzing them on that right-hand side. As I said, I love the shape that they played with when they made that break. And if you watch it, Isaiah Tass is that left winger for the Rabbitohs. He is full sprint. He's already on his bike, full sprinting to get back to cover Jason Saab before Saab's like the pass has even gotten away to Saab. And Saab gets it in stride and zooms past a full strength, full flight Isaiah Tass, links with Cherry Evans on the inside, and they score a try. I can't be negative against the Seagulls here. I really can't. There's huge positives to take away from their attack. But a lot of the time we see this and see them then go pretty negative the next week. I'm not going to be like, oh, we need to see it next week, because that's obvious. We wait until next week, we reassess then, and we talk about it then. I can't spend my time in this segment being like, oh, we need to talk about next week, because then what do we have to talk about next week? The week after that? Let's talk about this game as it is. The Seagulls, they played some of the best footy they've played all year. I know it was against the understrength Rabbitohs side, but you can only play what's in front of you. I like the way that they're flinging the ball around. I like the way that they're using Tom Trbojevic. I like their shape. What more can you say? Their forward pack is still underwhelming. They need a lot more. Only 3 players ran for over 100 metres in their forward pack, which was Bullymore off the bench, who has been their best all season. Sipley off the bench, who 15 runs, 133 metres from Sipley in 28 minutes, and Tauke Aho, who ran 13 times for 107 metres. So they need something in their forward pack. When they match up against a side that's a bit stronger in the forward pack, they probably get rolled, which we've seen happen at times this season. But for now, you just got to put the win on the board and see how they go from there, because I thought they were really good in this one. The Rabbitohs, there's not much to talk about. They're so decimated by injury. I haven't seen an injury toll this bad for forever, and it's somehow like the last few years the Rabbitohs have had a similar thing, but this is diabolical. Like, they bring Brandon Smith back on his first game back from an ACL. I know they wanted to start him up through Cup, but they had to bring him in because they've got no one else in their roster. And the poor bloke comes in and does an MCL, and he's out for 6 to 8 weeks again, which is just terrible for the Cheese coming off his ACL. I thought he looked solid, especially, like he had the rust of not playing in a year, but I thought he still looked really good in that time as well. And yeah, just to see him get injured just sucks for the club, because he's someone who can win you a premiership. Not that they're going to make the finals this year, in my opinion, or win a premiership, but yeah, it just sucks. Jai Arrow, he does his thing. He played 75 minutes and just worked his dick off. Didn't really get through the meters you expect from him. There were 2 players, actually there was 1 player in their entire forward pack who ran for over 100 metres, which was Keon Kaloa-Matangi, who played the full 80 at front row and had 23 runs for 163 metres, 35 tackles, 0 missed. So I thought he was good. There's not much else to talk about. They're so decimated by injury. I'm not going to be negative on any players here. It's just, what can you say, to be honest? In terms of standouts, I thought Johnston at fullback was actually really good. Linked well in attack with his hands. There were a couple passes that went to ground and whatnot, but for the most part, he played his hand well in attack. 21 runs, 164 metres, 2 line breaks, 1 line break assist, 1 try assist, and 4 tackle breaks. I'm pretty happy with that as your fill-in third choice fullback or whatever he is. Kaloa-Matangi, we just mentioned, was good. I thought Tallis Dunker was incredible. The last few weeks, essentially, I won't say since the start of the season. I think he was pretty inconsistent at the start, but he's built in this season so well. Someone who's been so talented. A lot of people compared him to Cameron Murray, myself included. It's clear they see him as second rower now. He ended up in centre at this one because Ewan Aitken was ruled out late as well. So he's gone from being one of their best, like last week made team of the week at second row for me. And then he moves into centre. He has 20 runs for 170 metres. He has 2 line breaks, 7 tackle breaks, and 2 tries at centre. He's a bloody gun footballer. And I just want to see this Rabbitohs side at full strength. They've got so much talent. And when they put it all together, I know this team could be a sight to behold. So I just really hope that they get their players returning from injury soon and they get close to a full strength side and we can just see some good football out of them. But yeah, that's probably all there is to say about the Rabbitohs. The Seagulls, we sort of mentioned their forward pack and whatnot. We mentioned Trbojevic, we mentioned Garrick. I thought Kula was really good with his speed again. 11 runs, 122 metres, 1 try, 1 line break assist, 1 try assist, 8 tackle breaks. Cherry Evans doing his usual thing, scoring a try and setting one up as well. Yeah, just a really good win from the Manly Seagulls. That will wrap us up. What is meant to be a rapid review has gone for way too long. I need to learn how to shut my mouth. But for anybody who's stayed around to the end here, I thank you sincerely from the bottom of my heart for listening to this one. Of course, if you're not already following the Instagram page, go and do so. A lot more content goes into that. Not necessarily the audio segments, but a lot of other stuff that we work on there. And it gives you an opportunity to message me if there's stuff that you hear in this podcast that you don't agree with, or think I missed. Swing me a message over there and let's talk some more footy there. Big on Supercoach over there as well. So if you're a Supercoach player, that's the place to be. But yeah, that one will wrap us up there. Go follow us on the Instagram at Chip and Chase. And yeah, thank you guys for tuning into this one. I'll see you guys next time.